I'm hoping that this audio is working because it kind of looks like it's struggling. Where's the chat on TikTok? We're live everywhere else. Instagram, go live. All right, this is live everywhere else. Have fun interacting. All right, we on. A lot of what we're going to do today is watch body cam. Everybody needs to go to TikTok to watch the actual live footage of this body cam review that we're doing. TikTok, please let me know if you can hear me in the comment section down below, because I think I'm having some technical difficulties with the mic. It's all working on Instagram. Is that what that does? Is it just a thumbs up? Let me know. So this body cam footage is actually coming from Georgia, and this woman was alleged to have been brandishing a firearm inside of the parking lot. So we're going to talk about some of those Georgia laws and what it relates to. Again, let me know if you guys can hear me on the mic. Audio, mute mic. No, that's good.
Y'all see her, don't say anything. Just give us a call. Just tell us that where she's at. Don't make any contact. She's armed.
Microphone device. Add.
Hello.
Sound check. Sound check. I think the mics are working just fine. All right, so some of the first things that we see is the description was a woman with in red and black with a tan hat. Was apparent to have a gun inside of her bag and have brandished it at somebody, and they called the police. And one of the first things she tells police officers that she's in a white BMW. So at face value, you just have to take it as is. You can't really do anything more than actually take a person at face value when you initially approach them and make first contact. And these gun laws are happening in Georgia, so let's see what the Georgia laws are. We just did a video on Georgia not too long ago. So in Georgia, you don't need a license to carry. You're allowed to have a firearm on your person. So as of right now, it doesn't look like she's done anything wrong, but she's not. We just got to keep watching the body cam to see what goes through her. For Instagram, I think I do got to at least separate the. Boom, so now I can see the comments on Instagram. What just happened to my live? There it goes. All right, for everybody on Instagram, go to TikTok so you can watch the actual body cam footage that we are going through right now. TikTok, let me know if you can actually hear the audio that's going on.
Basically, somebody just pointed the gun at somebody in the parking lot. The other person who got the gun pointed, she's standing up there. And she said,
so
the lady pointed the gun at me, black female wearing a red shorts and a tan hat.
If we look at the brandishing laws inside of Georgia, let's see what they are.
Okay, so you just want to walk up here to the front and I'll figure out if it's you. If not, I'll let you go. Well, I can't let you go in there.
See, it's always funny when people know that they're in trouble, they try to get out of it any way they can. So she said, let me go to the bathroom. You're not going to the bathroom if you're a part of this investigation at this moment. You're going to go in the bathroom, then run. Permitting, driver's license, preemption, brandishing. So right now, somebody said that she pointed a firearm at them. Again, Instagram, everywhere else. If you want to see the actual content that we're looking at, you got to go to TikTok, Jay the Trigger Trainer, and then you can see the actual video we're going through in the moment. But the brandishing laws for Georgia, there's no definition of brandishing, but Georgia found, however, a person commits an offense of disorderly conduct when such person acts in a violent or tumultuous manner towards another person, whereby such person is placed in reasonable fear of the safety of such person's life, limb, or health.
Hello, you somebody inside?
or personal damage being destroyed. So a person is guilty of a crime when they intentionally and without legal justification point or aim a gun or a pistol at another where the gun or pistol is loaded or unloaded. So these are the witnesses that we just saw. It's a terrible time for that to pop up.
Do you have a firearm in your purse? Do you mind if this officer looks inside your purse?
So it's alleged that she has a firearm. The officers asked if she did have a firearm, and she deliberately told them no. So if it is found that she has a firearm, she also gets the charge of lying to police officers. And what's the other charge I'm thinking of? She lied to police officers, and she's interfering with an investigation.
I'm removing this purse from you. You know you're right. We're giving you the right to tell you where. And I'm going to call. I'm taking it. I'm removing the purse. I'm just removing the purse. You're not reaching the purse. You just reached in your purse.
So one of the worst things you could do is start to reach. If it's alleged that she does have a firearm and she reaches inside of the purse, that's a clear violation. That's a clear no-no, because you don't know if she's going to try to shoot you through that purse. You don't know what might happen. So from this point, they're going to put her in handcuffs, as they should, for officer safety and everybody else's safety.
So she pointed at you?
Yes, sir. She pointed something at me. The lady with the rod, she called me a bitch.
Okay.
She said they pointed something at her, yet she didn't call the police about it. And I always think it's funny how people suddenly get into like this very distraught type of mannerisms to try to take some of the attention off of them. But in this case, police really aren't going for it. They're going to just keep on what they're doing, keep detaining her.
The best thing to do is just listen and follow instructions, and then everything goes okay, right?
And I appreciate everybody that got me up to 10K followers again on TikTok. We can now do these lives and have a little bit more interaction on here.
We're just going to have a seat in his car until we get everything figured out, okay? You're not going to jail or anything right now until we figure out a little bit further, but you are being detained because you matched the description you're doing.
So this is happening in 2021, and at the time of 2021, Georgia is the constitutional carry bill took effect on 2022. So open carry was allowed then, but they were still a concealed carry state, and I think at that point you did still need a license to at least have that firearm.
So I want to take a peek here, because this is allegedly hers, right?
And then she also told the police officers that she was in a white BMW.
What he said was a red Scion, or the one he was out with, right? A red vehicle of some sort. But she said a white BMW. You see a white BMW anywhere?
So there's no white BMW in the parking lot, but that's what she told the officers. So she's also, again, lying to police officers and obstructing an investigation. And then she has a red Scion instead of a white BMW in this one.
She stopped the car. She stopped it and said, "Did you call me a bitch?" I said, "Yes, I did." And she said, "Well, you're the one."
To see the body cam footage, everybody go to TikTok so you can actually watch this footage with us live. What's up, Murphy, for joining the live? What's up, Whoop Thigh, for joining the live? Appreciate you.
So right now, you're going to be placed under arrest for obstruction. Okay.
So that's the first charge they can at least get her with, because she lied to police officers. She said that she was in a white BMW when she was actually in a red Scion.
That's pulled away. You lied about the vehicle you were in originally. You lied about being in.
Yes, sir, Jamal. Appreciate you for joining the live.
So we've got a bunch of false statements and obstruction. So. Like I explained earlier, okay? Okay. And then when you were told not to reach in your purse, you immediately tried to reach in your purse.
I was trying to drop my keys and tell y'all that I had rights. It was not reaching in my purse to get anything.
Okay.
You do have rights, and you have the right to refuse a search, but if they tell you to not reach in the purse, you do not have the right to reach in your purse. So she's right in terms of the fact that she can deny a search. According to her Fourth Amendment, she has the right to privacy in her personal things and her dwelling, but that does not give her the right to reach inside of the purse or to start making motions inside of the purse. So that's where she goes wrong there.
You can make consent to search your car.
This is a phony moment with her. She says it's his car, and it's like, who is his car? Anytime you are driving the car, yeah, I feel you. Police have a job to do, and they're not always your friend. They're there to do their job, which is an investigation. There's ways to handle it. When they're handling business, you want to handle business as well. You want to know your rights. You want to keep the conversation about what it has to be about and try not to go into anything extra. But again, if we had no police, we'd have people just doing wild things all the time.
This is all going with you because it is your property, and I have to search it before we go.
I think you can see she just keeps trying to lie. So she tries to say that the purse that she has in her hand is her sister's property. That doesn't count. She tries to say that the car that she's driving is her brother's or her son's. That's irrelevant. If you were driving the car and you're in direct possession of it at that time, it is considered your dwelling in that moment. It is an extension of your own personal property. So while you do have the right to deny a search for it if they don't have probable cause, to say that the property in your hand at the time is not yours is just a blatant lie, and it's false. And then we can see here that she does actually have a Glock in there. So again, police were right in their justification to not want her to reach inside of that bag because there was a firearm in there. Especially when you get a call about a firearm, you want to be very careful about letting people and trying to believe people just off of good faith, because especially when you're in an official manner like this, people lie to you all the time. They're going to say whatever they can to get out of the situation. So police were smart to not take her faith and word. Citrus Tower 101. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining the live.
It's her son's Scion. Do you think he really likes Hannah Montana?
Yeah, again, tries to say that it's her son's Scion. No, but originally she said it was a white BMW. So she, off the rip, she started lying to police officers. She was never giving them factual information.
So be truthful yet? Well, the gun is in your purse.
And you said you didn't have a gun.
Patricia's not your name.
So she potentially has a charge of identity theft.
False statement and aggravated assault charges. Yes, ma'am. And then
again, aggravated assault comes into play once you actually point that muzzle. If somebody can articulate how you pointed the muzzle and swept them, that is an aggravated assault charge.
And possibly illegal use of credit because this is not you. Okay. Bless it.
They can even tack on a disorderly conduct just for the simple fact that she brandished the firearm and the person saw it. Like, that's an easy charge to give her as well. And then again, she's going to get some fraud charges because she has a bunch of cards that are not in her name. I'm not sure if that ID was actually hers or not, but if it was, if it doesn't match the names on the credit card, it's credit card fraud. All right, that was a good one. Let's see if we can go to another one. Let's see if I can find my list again. We're going to another one. This is one that actually takes place in Florida, so
On March 18,
I like this one.
Officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle for an improper right turn.
So now we're watching body cam footage that comes out of Florida, and this has very much to do with concealed carry rights in Florida, and then just knowing the rights and how knowing your rights could easily save you a trip to jail. So they pull these kids over for doing an improper right turn. This is a simple traffic stop that will turn very differently just based off how the kids decide to react to it.
Do you have a medical marijuana card?
I don't have a medical marijuana.
No, I wasn't judging.
That's a question you honestly should not answer. If they ask you, do you have a medical marijuana card? You don't really need to know about my medical history, so I can really opt to not answer that question. If you think you have probable cause to search the car because you see shake on the ground or you see flour or you see things, you can do it, but we can battle that based off the Fourth Amendment, because in reality, you can request a K-9 unit, and requesting that K-9 unit will give them definitive answer of if there are drugs in the car, because the K-9 is specially designed to sniff for that. Granted, the human nose, the police can lie all the time. I mean, that's a common one they use. Oh, I smell something. Well, how do I know that you know exactly what you're smelling? How do we know that that's actually factual? So the best way to argue that in the moment is to request a K-9 unit. Don't let them search the car. Request a K-9. And if it takes longer for that K-9 unit to get there than it would to finish the traffic stop, then again, they can't. Another common thing we see is people think that they can tell the police that they're not going to get out of the car. That is not the case. If a police officer requests that you step out of the vehicle, you have to step out of that vehicle. It's not an option.
Stop.
Police safety does come first, even though a lot of people worry about their safety. During traffic stops, police safety takes precedence. So if they ask you to step out, you must step out that car. You can't just sit in the car and try to argue with them. Or you're going to end up like this girl where they drag you out of that car. And unfortunately, you asked for that to happen yourself.
What's your back? You want to go to it too? Get on the sidewalk. Just stand here.
And you can film from a distance. You don't really need to walk up on the cops to start filming. And in this situation, this is 100% her fault, because if she would have just stepped out the car, they wouldn't actually have to go hands-on with her.
Hey, don't walk up that car.
And I will see the guy here. He was honestly maybe one of the dumbest people in this whole situation, because he made this way worse for himself than it actually needed to be.
Okay. I have no reason. Stop walking away then. Walk over there.
I'm not walking nowhere. I'm standing on the sidewalk like you just told me. You said go on the sidewalk. I'm on the sidewalk. Why are you telling me to do different stuff, you dumbass?
Now it's easy to get him with disorderly conduct because he's in public. He's shouting belligerently. It's easy to get a disorderly conduct charge, even if he wasn't going to get. He was a passenger, so he did nothing wrong. He didn't make the improper right turn. Second officer isn't going for it, which I'd be with him on it. You're not just going to sit here and start yelling for no absolute reason. Now people are coming. You're causing a whole commotion. It's just unneeded for what the situation actually is in this situation.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing. Okay, I will. I will stop. Bro, I wasn't doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything.
So a lot of times people will, especially, yes, sir, Maryland versus Wilson and Pennsylvania, two cases that deliberately laid out that you do have to get out of the car when a police officer asks you to step out of the car for police safety. I actually got to read into those more just so I can know the verbiage in my head. But again, this guy's resisting, but he caused this whole situation on himself. I mean, I understand people get uptight with the police and they don't want the police, in their business, but now you've done disorderly. Now you're resisting. And we'll see. When people do this kind of stuff, there's always a reason behind it. They're usually trying to hide something. There's something that's happening that they're trying to hide from the police, and they just don't want the police to find out. So they try to do all this commotion, try to cause this big old ruckus to make things seem like it's worse than what it is. And in reality, they're usually hiding a gun. They're usually hiding drugs. It's usually one of those two. I mean, unless they already have a charge. If he already had a charge, he might have just taken off running when he had the opportunity. But he probably has something that he should not have.
Dude, just stop. Give us your hands. I said it 100 times.
So again, I mean, just in terms of firearm laws in Florida, you can legally have a firearm inside of your car at 18 years old in Florida, as long as it's not on your person in a securely encased and otherwise not readily accessible. But at 18 years old, you are never allowed to have a firearm on your person. Yeah, he's 100% resisting arrest, and he had no reason to actually resist. What allows them to have probable cause? It kind of varies based off the situation. Like we saw in the beginning of this video. I'll pause the video really quick just so we can all enjoy it too. So probable cause, it could be a number of things. Like when a police officer says that they smell something, that can technically give them probable cause to search the car. Again, you can dispute that one by asking for a K-9 unit, which would guarantee the positive indication of if there are drugs in the car or not. I mean, if the dog is the positive indication, then yes, they have all the probable cause they need. But if not, it kind of varies. So you can argue that one. But probable cause comes through a number of different ways. Them asking you to step out the car doesn't give them probable cause to search the car. There needs to be a crime or something that is committed, or they need to have reasonable belief that there is something in the car that pertains to the investigation that would, further it. So probable cause it's a looser definition. There aren't very strict criteria to get probable cause. There just has to be reasonable suspicion that something else is involved in this situation. But usually, if the officer says that they smell marijuana, that's usually enough to give them probable cause to search a vehicle. But again, you can dispute that one in person.
Ow, my arm.
Just look how crazy he's going right now. Ow, my arm, ow, this, that. And it's like, he's perfectly fine. He's not being hurt in any way. He is sitting upright. He can breathe. Everything is fine with this individual right now. What's up to everybody joining the live on TikTok? I appreciate y'all. We got the 10K followers, so we can now do these more interactive lives. So right then, I was kind of talking in that moment. Can a convicted felon non-violent crime restore gun rights after a period of time? Yes, 8 years after served time. If you are in Florida, you can apply for clemency, and then you can get your firearm rights restored. You got to go to the Florida the Office of Correctional something. Look up, Google Florida clemency, and it'll bring up the website. You go there, you download the form, you go to the court office that or the county that you were charged in. You go to the clerk's office, get the paperwork, and you would submit the clemency paper to the state. And if it's been 8 years after served time, they will choose to give you your rights back if you qualify for it. But in terms of the video that we were just watching, they start searching his pants. He was sitting there saying, "Oh, my arm, my arm, my arm," going crazy with all these different things. And then we saw him, the officer, start to do a pat down towards the middle, and he said he has a 0. In Florida, if a cop says he has a 0, it typically means it's a firearm. Some agencies kind of play it differently. I appreciate you for dropping the follow, Rome the Great. I really do appreciate you. But if a cop says he has a 0, depending on the agency, it could either mean a knife. Most cops recognize a 0 being a gun. So this kid did have a gun between his legs, and that's why he was doing all this crazy nonsense, trying to say, "Oh, my arm," this and that, just going absolutely nuts during this arrest because he had a gun between his legs. Again, we're going to talk about the legality of it because he screwed himself over trying to be whoever he thought he was in this moment. And he had absolutely no reason to do it because he could have legally possessed that firearm inside of the car since he is 18, which.
Yes, so get back.
So, yep, just pulled a pistol. Then he immediately goes to say, "Mom, I didn't have that on me." Like, you were the biggest liar. You're the biggest liar. You 100% had that on him. Well, he was resisting the entire time, so they did have a right to handle him in the way that they did. Again, everybody that is not on TikTok, you got to go to TikTok to watch the live video that we're doing. This live is much more interactive this time than it's ever been. We hit 10K followers, so now we can give more value inside of these lives. But notice now in the video, like, he is not the same individual he just was. He's not yelling. He's not hurting. His arm doesn't hurt anymore. He is perfectly fine now. Just a minute ago, he was literally fighting for dear life. Explain the rules on 1 in the head. It doesn't really matter if you have 1 in the head. Let's pause this video real quick. So for Florida, it doesn't matter if you have 1 in the head. We call that condition. We don't govern the condition of the firearm. We more care, especially for in the car particularly, securely encased or not readily accessible. Those are the 2 things that you have to follow. And now, if you don't have that license, it does have to be off of your person. So that is kind of the 3rd criteria that we mandate in the state of Florida now. But you can, I only ride with 1 up top. It's the only way to have it because you don't have time to try to do anything else if that moment comes where it's necessary. So as long as it is in a holster, securely encased, and anywhere else inside of the car, you're fine. If you have a CCW, it can be on your person. I personally don't like to do that with a seatbelt and shirt under it or over it. But 1 up top is 100% up to you and what you feel comfortable with and what you feel that you're allowed to do. Yeah, he did, but like that won't be a charge. Like, he's not going to get a charge for having it, 1 up top. He's going to get the possession charge because he's 18.
I need my shoes.
So they're more than likely going to charge him with 3rd-degree felony possession of a concealed because he was concealing the firearm on his person. He 100% resisted that entire time. From the moment they start talking to him, he started with disorderly. They tried to go hands-on. He resisted the entire time.
You put through my neck. Dude. Calm down.
But we can see he's not the same hype that he was initially. Like, now it's over with for him. And now you got all kind of dirt in your hair when honestly he could have gotten off scot-free.
Can you loosen these cuffs up a little bit, please?
No. It's so funny because this kid could have gotten off scot-free had he just been cool, kept his calm about him. He was not the driver, so he didn't make the improper right turn. In reality, improper right turn is just a small traffic infraction that's probably going to result in a warning. Like, they probably didn't care that hard about it. If anything, his girlfriend would have got the ticket. They did say they smelled marijuana, but they didn't guarantee that they were going to search the car. That's kind of just them trying to build up the case. to search the car. But if she would have just said, I don't answer questions or like anything like that, the officer didn't say he saw shake. He didn't say he saw, a joint. He didn't say he saw anything that indicated that there was actual contraband in the car. He just said he smelled a substance. In reality, that substance could be CBD. It smells exactly the same. The only difference is molecules. So it didn't quite give them probable cause to search the car, and there was no guarantee that they were going to search the car. They pulled the girl out because she didn't want to listen to commands. It's a lawful command for an officer to tell you to step out of the car. It doesn't matter what state, especially Florida. Officer tells you to step out of the car, you got to do it. It's a lawful command. So she is now detained because she didn't want to listen. He decided he was going to turn up with the officers knowing that he has a 0 on him, which is just the dumbest thing in reality. If he would have put that thing in the center console, even as they were being pulled over, it would have been fine. He's 18 years old. He's legally allowed to possess a firearm inside of Florida in a private conveyance like a car, as long as there's a carrying case and otherwise not readily accessible. Florida sheriffs has already determined that a center console counts as securely encased. So he could have thrown it in there and easily been fine and wouldn't have, now he has a 3rd-degree felony charge.
So where was he coming from?
I don't know, ma'am. I showed up after the struggle between the two officers.
The officer that pulled him over. Which officer pulled him over? That's the officer I was.
How old is your son?
He just turned 18.
Okay, then we have under no obligation to tell you anything.
Yep.
Okay, just so you know.
He is a legal adult.
Okay.
This is
So
all on him.
As a supervisor, what I'm going to tell you. Okay, as a supervisor.
I know you're a parent.
I am.
She wants to play the sympathy card with the parent, and it's like, yes, but my kids aren't doing this.
Traffic stop. Okay, your son resisted. When I showed up, he was on the ground handcuffed. I am the officer that pulled this out of your son's underwear. Okay, that's not a commonplace. I'm sure he's not licensed to carry this, so that's
nope. You can't get your license until you are 21 years of age.
Yes, you do. To conceal it, you do, ma'am. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's not bolstered. I don't carry my firearm in my underwear. Okay, clinched between my butt cheeks. That's exactly where it was, and that's what my report's going to say.
So yep, they're going to search the car. I do think he ended up having other contraband inside of the car besides just the firearm. So that's, again, it still just doesn't make sense why you would go that intense knowing you have stuff in the car and you're only 18 years old. Like, it just doesn't make sense for you. You just ruined your whole future with that. So now you won't be able to get a CCW when it's time. So now he won't be able to get a CCW. He won't be able to apply for clemency later because it's a violent charge, possession of a concealed. Even if he seals it, you're still not going to pass a background check with FDLE or NICS. So yeah, he had I don't know how many priors he had, if he was even allowed to be in possession of it at this time. What firearm you recommend at a first timer? It kind of varies. I always say, anything that's chambered in 9 is typically a decent one. The 365s are always some of my favorites, but I do have to be careful talking about products on live, especially on TikTok, because they are not quite allowed. And they're very particular with the verbiage. So the best way to ask me that is DM me that same question and I can give you a list of them, or you can text me 407-501-8369. But anything that is typically 9 is my best recommendation. Just don't get anything that is colored. Don't get Taurus or any of those other cheaper brands. That's a good way to get yourself killed. This is a good video I like to see. We're going to bounce over to Texas. Let's look at some Texas gun laws. Big bro, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but we're going to bounce over to Texas, your home state. So this is one that we are very familiar with. We saw happen. Let me scroll to the Texas law so we can look at what it's like to protect yourself inside the home. So before we even get into the video, let's just go over the defense of property and defense of home or dwelling and using deadly force inside of Texas. So obviously everybody knows Texas is the wild, wild west. It's, gun laws are very open there. A person is justified in using deadly force in Texas against another to protect land or tangible or movable property if it would be justified in using force against another, and when, to the degree that she or he reasonably believes that deadly force is immediately necessary to prevent the other's imminent commission of arson, burglary, robbery, aggravated robbery, theft during the nighttime, or criminal mischief during the nighttime. So if you've seen this video, it was pretty popular during the summer. If you've seen this video, having a firearm while trying to kick in the door is aggravated robbery. Where do you look at the state laws at? I want to look up mine. So you can go to my website, actually, which is triggertrainingacademy.com, and I have a reciprocity map. And you can just click on your home state and it will auto-populate all the information. Or Another great place to go to is USCCA, which we pretty much have the exact same thing, exact same information, because all the laws are the same. So I'd appreciate you go to my website first just to check it out. And then if you want to bounce over to USCCA and check out their reciprocity map too, because it's a little bit more colorful than mine, both of those are really good places to get just the overall review of what the laws are. But yeah, so we see aggravated robbery, which means robbery with a weapon, is a forcible felony that justifies using deadly force in Texas. Third person's property, use of force. All right, so yeah, we now we got that preface. We know what the laws are legally allowed to be here. So now we're gonna go. Everybody on Instagram, pop over to TikTok so you can actually see the video footage that we're watching. This is a really good one today. I'm really liking this live. I got the TikTok Creator Studio now, so we're able to watch more things. You're welcome, my guy. You're welcome, that one guy. So we see this individual. He rung the doorbell. He's trying to pose as a maintenance worker, but you don't have a uniform. Like, he didn't even do a good job at trying to hide himself.
No. Yeah, we're checking the air filters.
Yeah, the dude said, he's like, no one is supposed to be coming to check the air filters. Like, I didn't schedule a maintenance call. Nobody from maintenance called me. You're wearing a bandana. You have tattoos on your neck. While that could be a maintenance worker, that's fine. You're in shorts. Like, nothing about you says maintenance worker or official worker at all. So now you see he's trying to kick in the door. He has that firearm right there. So automatically right here, has a firearm, is trying to forcefully enter a dwelling, and then has another friend that has a mask on trying to forcefully enter the dwelling. This is this is aggravated robbery. Well, this technically is not aggravated robbery. It's an attempted home invasion because he's not actually robbing the people. But at this point, you're justified in protecting yourself because you know if that person gets through the door, that they are likely to cause death or great bodily harm if they see you now. The person inside said burglary of habitation. Exactly. Burglary of habitation is essentially what they're going on. Thank you. Oh, my brother, he popped over. I appreciate you. So we see burglary of habitation is the charge. Thanks, KD. It justifies because you know if they get through that door, the first thing that's going to happen, and once they see you, is they're probably going to try to discharge a weapon at you, which puts life in danger immediately. So from this point forward, you're justified in protecting your dwelling on here. What's up, everybody on Instagram? Go to TikTok, watch the video, watch the content that we're doing live right now. So yeah, trying to kick down the door. He can't quite kick down the door. He goes ahead and decides to discharge. And now, let's talk about a few more things. He did the best that he could in the situation. Do I agree with every tactic? No, because if you can see the video, like you kind of can't see it fully on live, but a lot of those rounds hit the wall next to him, and in hitting the wall next to him, you don't know if there are people in there. If those are FMJ rounds, I hope that they're not. They're going straight through that wall. So if that's the kitchen, hopefully that's just like the boiler room or something right there. Maybe the laundry room. But that could be very risky to do something like that. And granted, none of those landed on target. But it's the best that he could do in this situation because they're trying to actively kick down the door. And if they get through the door, it's over with. Now you got to deal with these people in person within a much, a CQB space. And while everybody loves Call of Duty, the worst situation to be in is a close quarters battle because you have to be prepared to take a shot. Anytime I've had to go inside a building with any type of weapon or anything, in your head, you have to be prepared to take a shot because you're within 10 feet. I mean, what are most rooms like 10 by 12, 11 by 10, something like that? Like, it's a very, very small, novice people can get accurate shots on target at that point. So I don't blame him for going through the door, but maybe he should have checked his angle a little bit more to try to get him, or at least try to hit the staircase even. But granted, even hitting the staircase, that could be their room. That could be a whole separate. So he did the best he could. You can see police come. They don't want to get too close to that threshold because they obviously see rounds just landed outside. I wouldn't want to get too close to that threshold either. So he does everything perfectly right. He talks to the cops. He gives them his statement. He's going to show them the video. We can see exactly where they were. So imagine These people get through the door. You're sitting on the couch. Like, you're right there. That's a short distance. Like, the robbers thought nobody was home. So once they get through the door and they see that somebody is home, it's a whole separate set of circumstances now. Maybe they just decide to pop one off right then and there. You don't know where it's going to hit you. So he did the best he could in that situation. I applaud him for it. He ended up getting off in that case. There was no charges filed against him because it was seen to be a justifiable use of self-defense. I actually don't even know what this one is. Oh, okay. I do remember this video now. So this is another video that we saw. So let's just start there. There is no way on God's green earth I'm going to shoulder check an officer walking into anywhere. There's no reason you should ever shoulder check an officer, period. This guy decides he's going to be big and back. He's going to shoulder check this officer. And again, it just shows criminals can be some of the dumbest people out there because you know what you have on you and you decide you're going to shoulder check this cop. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Let's just keep going.
What you shooting me like that for, man?
Nah, I'm just trying to walk.
I don't see you walking in the store, bro.
My bad.
Like, nothing about that situation made sense at all. Now you're about to catch a 10-year Fed case. If you already know the video, you know how it ends. Now you're catching a 10-year Fed case. If you had any kind of domestic charges or any kind of charges in your county already, you're about to catch those. That looks like it could be like a window breaker. New York City, could I come to Florida and get a permit? Yes, we do issue non-residence permits to those from New York City. But granted, our Florida permit holds no weight inside of New York. So, but yes, you could come here and get it. If you want, you can message me 407-501-8369 and we can set up a class for you here. So we can see right there he has a magazine. And I'm not gonna lie, this cop actually does something dumb. Okay, let's pause right there. There's no way. Actually, I don't want to pause it right there. I want to get that off the screen as soon as possible. All right, sorry. Yeah, I did not want to have that object be the center of the screen. One, the officer is kind of not the safest handler. Like, there's no way you should be throwing that object like that, especially considering it's been modified in some way, shape, or form. Like, don't throw it, because what if it goes off? I mean, granted, yes, they have drop safety, so they're meant to be dropped and not go off. But God forbid the thing does go off. It's been modified. How do you know it's not going to let off all 17, 21, whatever he has in there right now? Yeah, like that's the dumbest and most unsafe thing he could have done. But yeah, this individual's about to catch a nice 10-piece Fed charge, because anytime you have one of those objects on the back, those little giggle switches, like they like to call them, you're going to catch 10 years Fed time. And then if they decide, so this is how bad this is. Let's say they get him for something like he shoulder checked the cops. So let's say he gets, assault on an officer. Let's just say that's the charge they're going to throw at him. So he gets assault on an officer. He gets a year in, let's call it a year in county for that. His Fed time, he's going to be put on a Fed hold. So as soon as he's done with that year, that's when his Fed time is going to start. And that's when they're going to pick up the next case. So then as soon as he's about to get out of county, Feds are going to come in, bring him up, take him to Fed, take him up the road, and then he's going to do 10 years for that giggle switch. So he just cost himself 11 years of life for absolutely no reason, when all he had to do is just let him in. Yep, way to secure the cuffs on there. Mikey, what's up? We got to get together. I know I said I was going to do a range day in like March or February, but it's been a very interesting 4 months for me. But I promise we will get out on the range and we will train together real soon. I have not forgotten about you. Yeah, that was a window breaker. So that could be a charge right there, breaking into windows and things like that. He had that little giggle switch, which is another 10-year charge for him that he honestly could have avoided had he just been smarter about it. Let's go to another good one. This is actually one that I was just starting to watch last night, but I haven't watched the full thing, so we'll get a nice first reaction out of it. I'll give you the basic information. Apparently, this woman was walking her kid to school, and she decides she's going to be carrying. I don't know what state they're in, Ohio. So she's carrying while walking her kid to school, and she tells the security officer that she's carrying, and the officer obviously calls it in because the number one place you're not allowed to have firearms is schools. It doesn't really matter what state you're in. It doesn't really matter if it's Texas or California, schools are completely off-limit zones. Let me go to the Ohio laws real quick. So that's the initial start. And then to just hear her logic and reasoning behind it is also some of the dumbest logic and reasoning I've ever heard.
So I went over there and I asked her to take the bag off for her. She said, I'm giving you my gun. So I said, just take the bag off and we'll talk about it. And she was like, I'm giving you my gun. So then I said, oh, she started to walk away. So I grabbed her and I cuffed her and I pulled the gun out of her bag.
So now she's talking, and this is a prime example of sometimes it's best to just shut up. Just don't talk. Anytime I've had interactions with the police where I felt like there is potential of a charge being brought against me or a potential of me being in the wrong, I'm not talking. I'm only listening, because everything I say and do can and will be used against me, not can and will help me in the court of law. Therefore, shut up. Don't talk. It's just not smart of you to talk.
What do you need my purse? You took my phone. Stop. I just got arrested in front of my baby's school. If this is not the most embarrassing shit. And I told them I didn't take it and not tell them. I informed them because I walked my baby to school.
That makes no sense. The logic in her head just does not logic right. What's going on? Oh, fuck me. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. Oh, I figured that might happen. I just wasn't sure. TikTok just banned me on live, guys. I just got this access literally last night and they banned me. So apparently I can't watch body cam footage of this stuff. Oh, now we got to figure this out. That's gonna arms and dangerous weapons, but this is being done, but can I submit an appeal? Is there a way for me to write it? Oh, that sucks so much. The thing I don't understand is, like, they will allow people to post these body cam, like, people can post the body cam footages to their normal page, but you can't go live with it. Like, what is the discrimination of somebody posting these, like, all these body cam footages, and like you see shootings on TikTok all the time, but as soon as like you want to go live and like somebody else, or I want to post it, it's suddenly an issue. That is actual trash. You can go live and join a live as a guest starting from April 11th. That's literally next week. I knew this might be risky, but I wanted to take a chance on it anyway. I didn't think it'd be an issue. That blows a whole lot. That blows a whole lot. I don't understand what the issue is. Firearms and dangerous weapons, but we're educating people about it. These are now there's a whole week ban on it. All right, I got to figure this out, so this live now has to end.